लाईव्ह तर गेलो आपण.
लाईव्ह गेलोय ना.
रिफ्रेश कर. आहे ना.
आहे ना, हे बघ.
हां तिला बोलून
गुगल मीटच झालंय ना कारण
आपण तुम्ही म्यूट राहा, तुमचा कॅमेरा पण ऑफ ठेवा.
Okay.
आस्क टू मुक्ता स्टार्ट.
Mukta, come online and open your this thing, video. Switch it on.
साऊंड चेक करा.
Yes.
तिला बोला म्यूट करा.
I'm audible and visible.
थांबा मी लेआउट व्हॉट्सअप कॉल बंद करायला सांगा तिला. थांबा मेसेज कर. हां
Archana ma'am, I'm audible and visible to you.
तिला मेसेज कर.
Yes.
Okay.
तिला बोला ना म्यूट. तिचं व्हॉट्सअप चॅट आणि तुझ्याकडे चालू आहे का? नाही ना. क्लिअर चालू आहे. हां तिला मेसेज कर. तुम्ही म्यूट करा सगळ्यांनी. आवाज कमी करा.
Everyone
बाहेर जाऊन ऐकायचं तर.
Good morning, everyone. I hope you all are very excited for the new topic today that we've met, that is unlocking abroad-based careers. We have Ms. Mukta Nagre with us, who is a career coach with a lot of experience, and she has some amazing insights to share with all of you. So, Ms. Mukta, you can begin now.
Okay, hi everyone, Mukta over here, and I'm super excited today because we are going to go ahead and talk about one of the most topic that is discussed among students and even parents, that once I'm done with my 12th or once I'm done with my bachelor's, is abroad a right option for me? Will it give me more career opportunities? Will it be the right step for me to go ahead? And if yes, then how am I supposed to go there? Which country should I select? Which course should I select? Is there any scholarships available for me? What is the funding like? What is the budget like? So for parents and for students, for different age groups as well, the question set varies. Like students will be more concerned about what course and country to go with. Parents will be more concerned with the funding and the scholarships available. So today what we are going to do is that we are going to make sure that we get an overall understanding, we get a brief idea, and we get an exact direction that how we are supposed to move ahead, right? So we are going to go and touch every single topic out here, and if possible and if time permits, we will also take certain questions from you, so that we will try to solve all the doubts that you have, all the questions that you have in your mind, and we'll get started on the same track. Okay, so today what I'm going to do is that this content, this particular topic is very vast. There are too many details, too many things to be understood, to be covered, and for you to to make sure you actually end up in the university, there are a lot of things that have to be done. But I understand most of you are students currently in your 9th and your 10th and maybe 11th, 12th. So today I'm going to give you a brief, in a nutshell idea. I'm going to let you know where and how you can begin, your thought process, how you can begin preparing yourself academically, score wise, or even maybe documentation. Now documentation doesn't mean collecting all the papers and all. No, documentation means what are you supposed to score in the standard you're right now. Are there any extracurricular activities that you should take ahead? Because these things cannot be undone, or you cannot come back and you can redo it. No, right? So right now, if you get an understanding of this particular field, you get understanding of what you want, you can prepare yourself likewise, you can plan accordingly ahead, and things will be much smooth for you when it's actually time to apply. So we are going to go ahead and get a brief of every small thing that is supposed to be in your area. At the end of it, for the parents specifically, I will be also going through the finances. Now I'll not go into the very much depth and which bank and which document and all, no, but to give you a brief idea, what are the different kind of finances that you can look into, and what is the budget that you can be expecting when study abroad comes into picture. Okay, so great. Having said that, let me just share my screen with you all. Okay. Okay, so just let me know if my screen is visible. I have these 5 steps for you on my screen. Yeah, it's visible.
Yes, it is.
Oh, okay, great. So let's start with it. So, as I said, for your ease of understanding, I've divided the 5 steps to achieve your study abroad dream. I've divided into 5 different steps, and all of these being extremely crucial, extremely important, and you need to pay attention and focus and do take down notes and questions comment box, and we will be replying to you. Okay, amazing. So let's start with it. So the step number 1 is goal setting. So whenever I discuss about any topic with students, be it in general understanding what career is good for you, or a topic like study abroad, or even if we are discussing about technology addiction and concentration and self-esteem, it always starts with what is your goal, what is your intention. Because only when you know your intention with any problem that you have, what is the solution intention you have in your mind, that is when we can draw a plan to actually get rid of the problem, or draw a plan to get out of the problem that we are into right now, right? So this these two words are very important for you with every aspect of your life that you deal with. Okay, so how is this related to study abroad? Let's understand that. Now, goal setting. There are 3 different parts over here. The first, let's understand what will happen if you do not have a goal when it comes to study abroad. I get students on daily basis with me that I want to go abroad, I want to study abroad. And when I ask why, tell me, why do you want to go ahead and study abroad? So there's no specific answer that students do have for me. Usually it can be the popularity of just going outside India, or the attraction, or the peer pressure, or in general my friend is there, I want to go there. So these reasons are not satisfactory. These reasons might not be satisfactory to you. Okay, and you might be being unfair to yourself. Say 10 years from now, when you ask yourself, why did I take this decision, you should have a very strong solid answer. And if you don't have that, what will happen is that first thing that will happen is you will end up selecting a random career. If you do not know why are you going abroad, which country you are selecting, and why have you selected that country, why have you selected that specific university, you will never know what career path you have selected. And you will select something, you'll go for it, but there will be no correlation between your passion, your interest, your career goal, and the path that you have actually selected. And to avoid this, you need to know what is your career path. If you do not know that, you'll end up taking a random decision. And you know what happens? Just see around you, see the population around you. In India itself, we're on the highest population right now. There are so many people. So, and how does it relate to us is that when you're done with your education, you're out in the field, in the real world, looking for employment, for job, for going into the highest possible rank in your particular stream. There are people who took that decision out of passion, out of interest, and they will always be on top because they will be looking at the scenario, the career, with a lot of passion and a lot of interest, pouring their heart and soul into it. And if we take a random decisions with the starting step itself, we will face difficulties in employment. And after leaving your home country, your family, and doing your education outside for such a long time, and not ending up with the dream company or job you're wanting, that was not the end result that you wanted. Correct? You have to connect everything to the end result. So yes, if you do not have that goal, you do not have that clarity, these are the things that might go wrong. Now, what is that is to be done? The first thing is that you need to know the intention and motive behind choosing a path. See, which country to select, which university to select is a secondary option. Why? Because first you need to know what do you want to do. Based on that is what we can relate and correlate. For this career, this country or this university is good, and then that is how we can go about it. There's this one example that I always give is, if you do not know where you are driving, your route will be wrong. I always say this: if I want to go ahead and attend a cousin's wedding in Delhi, right? But no one tells me that she's getting married in Delhi. They just tell me, okay, your cousin is getting married, reach. Where do I reach? How do I reach? Can I just sit in my car and start driving, hoping that I'll reach at the perfect location on the entire globe? very less chances, right? Absolutely next to nil. Similarly, you should know the exactly where you're wanting to end up. You should know why you're selecting that, and that is when we can come back. And you should know the area of your passion, and to know that, what we need to do is reverse engineering. So what is reverse engineering, guys? You first need to know what are you going to become, what is your career passion, your orientation, and what do you see yourself becoming. I'll give you a very small and a very easy example. If you see yourself becoming a doctor, okay, but you do not end up selecting and you understand this very later on your life, okay, and you ended up selecting engineering subjects in 11th and 12th, or commerce or arts in 11th and 12th, that makes you ineligible for becoming a doctor. Or if you wanted to become a CA but you ended up selecting arts as your options in 11th and 12th, it makes you ineligible. No, you can't go ahead and select those options in going ahead, because you did not have the right subjects in the beginning. It's not like you can't, it will be difficult for you to catch up. You are not eligible to go ahead in that path anymore. Okay, you're not allowed to go in that path anymore, because there are certain subjects which are compulsory for you to take. Therefore, it's important for you to understand the end, and that is when we can come reverse. Okay, I want to become an architect. To become an architect, I need to do my bachelor's in this degree. To do my bachelor's in this particular degree, I need to give this entrance exam after 12th, and I need to select these particular subjects in my 11th and 12th. This is what is called reverse engineering. You don't think 11, 12 science and then which degree, and then no, you think at the end and then you come back. That is only when you make accurate decisions in your life. Okay, and the last part, to do your, after you identify your area of passion, your area of interest, you need to do research on what exactly is that you are going to select. Now what this means is that, suppose you I'll give you again a random example. Suppose you have selected science in your 11th and 12th with the subjects of engineering, that is physics, chemistry, math, and computer sciences. Now you understand over here that, okay, you want to go ahead and do engineering. This is what you have thought in your head. But now under engineering, there are multiple options. And it's not like if you're interested in engineering, you will be interested in every single option that engineering has to offer. It doesn't happen like that, correct? You need to know what engineering has to offer. And suppose in that also you think, okay, I like computer sciences. Now, do you know computer sciences again has segregation into it: artificial intelligence, internet of things, cybersecurity, data science, machine learning, cloud computing, and much more. These are just few of the examples. And this information over here is not to overwhelm you. This information is to awaken you, to make you realize that you have a lot of time in your hand. You have a good, right now, you being in 9th, 10th, or even if 11th and 12th you're here, it's not late. The moment you understand, I need to know about these things, I need to plan these things, it is the right time. Okay, it's very late when you're in your 40s and 50s, and when you're done with your education, you've taken a career path and you've been there for 10-15 years, and then you're realizing, okay, this is not what I wanted to do. It's again not late then, but it's, right now it's the right accurate time for you to go ahead and start thinking about this. What is the subject that you like? What are the degrees associated with that subject? And what are the sub branching of that particular degrees? That is when you can make an accurate decision. And it is very important when you think about abroad education to know things in these details, because the degrees, even the bachelor's degrees, are available for single specialization. There is, BS in artificial intelligence, BS in internet of things, BS in cybersecurity. Therefore, you should know what are you committing yourself to. Correct? And once you know that, once suppose you select, okay, I want to do computer sciences, and then I want to do BS in cybersecurity, now it becomes easier that which country is strong enough for a cybersecurity option, which university is very capable, has good professors, has a good curriculum for this particular degree. That is when it becomes easier for you to shortlist your universities based on the degree that you've selected, and then shortlisting it based on your academic score, the scholarships, your budget, and certain expert advice. So coming to academic score, it is when you say that you want to go abroad, your 9th, your 10th, your 11th, and your 12th, all the 4 standard score is considered. University will ask you to submit your mark sheets for all the 4 standards. Okay, so if you are in 9th right now, make sure that you start preparing properly for your academics, especially if abroad education is something that is on your mind. Okay, and if you're looking for top tier universities, Ivy League universities, top 10, 20 ranking universities, which is on the goal list of most of the students. You have to make sure that you have a consistent score of 85 to 90 plus. That is a bare minimum, and this is for top ranking, what I'm saying, for all the four standards. Okay, next, some people also have certain shortlisting based on, okay, only the colleges that have scholarship I will go ahead there. And scholarship is always just given out on merit basis. Scholarship is not given out on any other criteria. It's purely based on your merit. Merit means what has been your academic record like, and different exams that you're required to give when you enter any abroad education application system. There are certain exams you need to give that I will be giving you a brief about. So your scholarship is just based on that. Okay, and then the important point again comes is, what is your budget? Okay, universities fees can be extremely variable, and you need to be very very clear about, especially parents, if you're here, you need to be very clear about what your budget range is. And depending on that is where again the shortlisting and the filtering happens, because it this is a clarity that you and your children need to have in the very beginning. Because if you end up getting in a university which is extremely high end and extremely, there's no scholarship available and the fees is extremely high, then again the loan process and all this also becomes a problem. So you have to be clear on this fact at the very beginning. Okay, and the expert advice over here is that you need to be aware of your profile. Okay, don't, a lot of times we are either aiming extremely high, or sometimes we underestimate our profile as well. We end up aiming universities which we can do better. So you need to know about your academic score, you need to know about the extracurricular activities that you have been doing, and you need to have a proper profile evaluation done for yourself. The next advice I would give you over there is that you have to know that that there is a notion with students that I want to go to America, I want to go to USA, I want to go go ahead and study there. If I ask you why, what stream are you selecting, there is no correlation in that. Let me give you an example. In India, okay, suppose you want to do, and this is just a very rough example, okay, not like this is the fact and lines of it, but suppose you want to do some course related to life sciences, biotechnology, or any other life science stream. I would suggest Pune, Bangalore is a better option. If you're saying I want to do something commerce related, I would say Mumbai is a better option. Now why? Because these particular states and cities, they do have job opportunities also available in much more frequency after you're done with your education. Plus therefore the institutes available to give you that education, you get much more exposure because of the internships that will be available for you and the professors that will be available for you. Similarly, when you're selecting a country, it will depend upon what course you're wanting to do. Okay, just to give you a rough example, now let's come to USA alone. Okay, USA has 50 states and it has 4,000 different universities and institutes alone in USA. So when you say USA, you say United States. It's again not that you can it's a random selection. Again, which state has more opportunities for your degree that you have selected? Do they have that kind of job opportunities, that kind of internship opportunities? So it's that crucial. Now coming to a wide range of understanding, if you say anything related to automobile, on a surface base, I would say Germany is a better option. If you say anything to agriculture, I would say Australia is a better option. If you say pharmaceutical related, I would say USA is a better option. Now this is again not, there are other countries as well for these options. This is just for your understanding that you need to select location based on your career prospects, okay, and your future prospects once you're done with your education. So these all points come into picture. Why have I given you these points? This is for you to keep in mind, to select your goal, to have your proper goal in front of you. You need to have these points with you and you need to know about them in depth. Okay, I hope you have understood in depth about what goal and how you're supposed to set a goal when it comes to abroad education. Okay, great. Now coming to step number 2. Step number 2 is about your eligibilities and about your entry requirements. Now, what does this mean? So, a lot of times students do ask me, am I eligible for study abroad? And, what if, what am I supposed to score in 11th and 12th? What am I supposed to do is my 10th exam considered? Is there any exams that I need to give? Then yes, there is a certain filter that the universities abroad will put for your profile, before they select your profile. Okay, so let's understand those, because these are also important considering for you to start preparing from a young age, from in this particular stage itself. So we are going to focus right now only on the bachelor's degree part, because your students masters will come much later. Let's just focus on the bachelor's part of it. There are three major criterias there are multiple, but right now let's just focus on these three main, because these are the crucial ones. Okay, so the first is that to get into a good bachelor's degree program abroad, you need to have a 12 years of education. So which means 10 plus 2, which is the pattern of Indian education system. But a lot of times some students enter into a diploma setting, right? After 10 they enter into a diploma degree. Now even if you're taking a diploma degree, you need to know that you need to complete minimum 2 years of your diploma before you apply for a bachelor's degree abroad. Okay, this is the basic eligibility criteria. The second eligibility criteria, now this is the bare minimum. The bare minimum, okay, that if you have anything less than 58% in your 11th and 12th, or even say in your 10th, you might not be eligible to go ahead and apply abroad. Okay, we might not into the basic eligibility criteria. Now, as I told you in the beginning as well, if you are aiming for the top ranking universities across the globe, or the Ivy League universities, 85% and up again becomes the bare minimum. Okay, so depending upon what universities you are aiming and selecting for yourself, your percentage will vary, but anything less than 58 will not be acceptable. And next, now comes the exams that you need to prepare. Now I want you all to go ahead and make notes of these notes, as in note of the name that I'm giving you out here, because it's important for you to start preparing for these exams before you start your application process for abroad, because the results need to be in your hand when you are starting with the application process. Okay, so now let me give you an understanding why these exams are required. We, India, are a vernacular country. We speak multiple languages, and considering the abroad standards, English is not our primary language as such for the most of the country, right? So when we are entering into an English speaking country, they do require a proof from our end that you are very fluent with your writing skills, your speaking skills, your listening skills, and your reading skills when it comes to English. So they have designed certain examinations in that manner, which will test all of these 4 sections for you: your reading, listening, writing, and speaking. Okay, and be it for bachelor's, be it for master's, or even if you want to go for PhD, if you're going from India, you need to go ahead and make sure you clear these exams with a certain required score. Okay, now these English proficiency exams are not that difficult, because they are based on your day-to-day communication that you do in your general life with your friends, in your school, at your home, the proper English grammatical language. Okay, it's not expecting you to have a very dense and very rich vocabulary. Okay, certain normal vocabularies, yes, it's required, but not beyond that. So what you can do on your end as a student is that make sure, and if a study abroad is one of your goal again, make sure that the small communications that you're having, at least in the school premises, you can restrict it consciously to English. The small conversations that you're having with your teachers, you can restrict it to English, and you can, these small changes you start doing will start showing effect for you. And second thing is that you can start reading certain kind of like 10 minutes, 5 minutes of newspaper every morning, because newspaper, what it does, it gives you knowledge about new vocabulary, and it's not just the vocabulary, how that vocabulary is used in a certain sentence. So you get much deeper understanding of that vocabulary, because if you have to just mug up vocabularies, you will never remember that. If you're reading it in a sentence structure, and that too on a daily basis, just for 5 minutes every day, you will have much more understanding, and you'll remember it for a longer time, and you have a long way to go to actually attempt these exams. If you do this for a span of 1 to 2 years, just imagine how rich you will be with the language and with the vocabulary. Okay, so there are 4 different kind of proficiency exams available right now throughout the world. One is TOEFL, one is IELTS, one is DET, and one is PTE. Okay, now depending upon which country, depending upon which university you're selecting, the requirement of the English language test that you need to attempt will differ. Okay, so now here, therefore, you cannot just select, okay, I will give TOEFL and I will just go ahead with it. It might not be accepted in certain other universities or the visa requirements of that country. So you need to first know the degree that you're doing, depending on which we shortlist the countries and the universities, and then we select which English proficiency exam am I supposed to give. Okay, and here what I've written, this 80 plus, 6 plus, 100 plus, these are the minimum scorings that you are supposed to get. In PTE also somewhere 60 plus should be, a good score. Now why is this scoring different is because the total out of which this particular tests are calculated is different. Like for TOEFL is out of total 120 marks. IELTS is out of total 9 bands. Okay, so depending on that, every examination has a different pattern, a different criteria, therefore the different scoring that you are supposed to have. So right now you need not much worry about the score that you need to have. You right now just note down these 4 examinations so that you can go ahead and look into it in much more detail and understand how you're supposed to start preparing for them. Okay, now this is English proficiency exam. The next exam that comes up is a standardized exam. Standardized exam is SAT and ACT. Now what does this mean? Now you have proven your English proficiency, that yes, you're very capable with it and you're fluent with it. The next thing that they need to know is about your aptitude, your numerical skills, and in general English skills as well, but in much more depth. Okay, and this is your aptitude is calculated with an SAT exam. So if you are in 11th and 12th, and you might be aware of what SATs are, so if you're not, you need to go ahead and research about it if you're not aware about it. Okay, now SATs are particularly, I would say, not required for all the countries, but if USA is your, again, a goal, SAT is where it will be required there. If say some universities in Switzerland, some universities in Singapore as well will require an SAT score if you're entering their premises, but more like European universities or Australian universities might not require a SAT. Okay, so again, depending upon which country you're selecting, the demand or the requirement and the eligibilities is going to be different, but you need to know about what these examinations are. And another thing why it's important for you to be aware of it at this stage is because every examination is conducted at a certain date. Okay, there are certain times only in the year when you can attempt this exam, especially with SATs, and there are certain months that you need to give yourself to prepare for those exams, right? You should not be late. So I'll give you an example. I had a student come to me in October who wanted to start their education, say in next September 24 in US, and they had not given their SATs, and the next available SATs was somewhere in December, but by then the application deadline was not there, as in the application to get an admission in September next year was somewhere in November end this year. So the student did not have SATs and therefore they couldn't apply. And it's that small things are important, and which correlates to your planning. If you know that this is the university I need to apply, you should know what is the deadline by which I need to submit in my application. If November 30 is the deadline, I should have my test scores with me by in hand with me by September, October, and then before that I need to give the test. So which is the first half of the first 5 months of the year? When is the SAT conducted in India? Where is it conducted? And if I want to give the SAT, say in May, then how many months do I require before that to prepare for the exam? This process which we just discussed is reverse engineering. And this is important for you to make sure that nothing in your life is missed out just because we were lazy to plan and look into, and we ended up and going back to a process of end moment preparation. Because when it comes to abroad education, that will not work. That might only work for your internal exams where you pull all-nighters to prepare for that 1 or 2 subjects. It will not work with an abroad education system because your applications are submitted almost 1 year before you start with your education in that country. Okay, because consider this particular, you're changing your country. So there are applications coming throughout the globe. So they have that many applications to review and select and send out the offer letters for you to do your flight tickets, your visa. The process is extremely big. Okay, so you have to be that articulate and your planning has to be that strong. Okay, so this was about your standardized exams, and this is about your eligibilities. Very basic, but I hope you have taken down all the names that we have just discussed, because it will help you in the research going ahead. Okay, now coming to the step number 3, which I was saying, the scheduling that you need to do for yourself. Like, for example, whichever standard you're in right now, there will be a time where you need to start with your application, and it will fall regarding the same around the same time for each and every one of you. So in general, the abroad universities have multiple intakes. Like, some universities, they start the education in January, some start in August or September, some start in April. But considering the Indian education system and the pattern that you are in right now, the August September, which is known as the fall intake, is the best suited intake for you. Correct? Because you will be done with your 12th standard by, say, May. You will have your results with you by June, July, and therefore starting your bachelor's degree in August or September is the exactly right pattern for you without losing any time. Correct? So how are you supposed to prepare for this? Now, this I have given a month by month understanding. Again, this is a rough understanding, but this will help you a lot. The way I'm saying plan, 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 this is what I mean when I say planning. Now, so suppose you want to go ahead and take admission in September 2024, next year. Okay, so your preparation for, let's even make it, okay, let's take it a bit more secured way of preparation. If you want to attempt and take admission in 2024, correct? So your exam preparation, be it TOEFL, SAT, IELTS, any exam that you need to give for abroad education, not your school exams, but abroad education, your preparation has to be completed by this year. This is just an example, okay? I know the year is about to end, but just an understanding. Your preparation has to be done by January 23. Okay, now you need to attempt your exams, let's keep this more secure, as I say, by May 23. All your proficiency exams, all your SATs, everything has to be done by May 23. The results should be in your hand. Now, this can be okay, early October, or I would say June to October is a good timeline to have the results in your hand. Now, once your results are in your hand, the applications for August 24 will, they open usually 1 year prior, say in October 23. The applications are going to open around October. And the deadlines are somewhere from November to May. Now, when I say May, not all universities have, this is a very wide range over here. But if again you right now, because you're in a preparation phase, therefore we can very much aim for the top universities, like the top 10-20 ranking universities. Now, such universities do have their early bird deadline somewhere in November, and if you apply early, it has a lot of benefits with respect to securing your admission and also scholarships in some of the cases. Okay, the early bird deadlines is when you have to apply. So December is some universities, but most of them will end by November 30 or even mid of November. Okay, so you need to go ahead and make sure that you go ahead and follow the early bird deadline. So let's say November 15 is where the early bird deadline is, and you need to submit your applications by then. Okay, now when you are done by this time, that is when you get your offer letters somewhere in March. Okay, the early you apply, the early you get your offer letters. Offer letters is an acceptance letter from the university, and trust me when I say this, when you get that email, it becomes one of the most happiest time in your life. And I've seen that happening. Okay, where you have applied to a dream university of yours, and you have received an email stating that congratulations, you have been accepted into this university. I've seen the way students react to it. Some cry, some are extremely happy, and it pays off. The hard work that you have been doing for such a long time, it's a lot of preparation, it's a lot of hard work, it's a lot of dedication that goes into this, pays off. Correct? So your offer letters start coming out in this time, and once you get your offer letter, that is when you can start applying for your visas. Now, bear in mind, your visa process will take somewhere from 1 month to 3 months, or even more than that. Therefore, the early you have your offer letter, the early you can prepare for visa, and that is how on time your entire schedule will be. And then you go ahead and fly to your dream destination by mid of August. This is an entire, and this August is which? This is 2024. This May and June is again 2024. So this is a timeline. So this is almost 1.5-2 years of process that you need to put in, right? Almost 2 years, because again, if till your preparation has to be done by Jan, therefore you need to start your preparation by June, July, right? The year before that. So 2 years of efforts that is going to go into it, and therefore your planning has to be that detailed and that proper. Okay, so this was about time schedule. Now coming to the step number 4, which is your document preparation. Now this is something which is a little bit more technical, but again something that you should know at this stage. Why? Let's understand. See, there are certain documents which are absolutely mandatory for you to submit, some documents which are optional, but these optional documents can give you some extra points, some advantage over other students. Now let's see the mandatory ones. Mandatory ones, one becomes your passport, which we all are aware of. It's passport. It's not just that you will require by your application submission, even to attempt your exams like your English proficiency, your SATs, your passport is your identification proof. Aadhaar card, PAN card, driving license, you might not have, but these kind of proofs are not allowed. Passport is the only identification proof that is allowed. So therefore, if you're attempting these exams, you have to make sure that, and if you don't have your passport, you need to start with the process right away. Okay, just a minute. Okay, next comes your resume. Now, I know that a lot of you might have not even thought about what a resume is, what a CV is, and how am I supposed to prepare it. So right now, you need not go into that particular stage where you start thinking, how should I write my resume? Right now, focus on building your resume. Building your resume is what is going to go in your resume. Your resume will consist of your co-curricular activities, extracurricular activities, academic activities, any debates, any dancing competition, any Olympiads, anything that you have been part of till now, and in general your academic scores till now, the competitions you have been part in the school, all these will consist of your resume. So how to write it is an option which can be done in a matter of 10 to 15 days, and at that point you will have someone guiding you who will help you with that. But what is in your hand right now is building what goes in that resume. Okay, so that is where you need to work on. And one thing that you can start exploring is what is LinkedIn account. You can ask your parents, you can have you can start discussing with them, start exploring. It's a social media account, just like your Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, but it's a bit more academic social media account where everyone, the top academic people and business people and companies and CEOs and directors are present over here, sharing academic ideas. Even your college recruitment team is present on LinkedIn. A lot of time contacting them via LinkedIn, contacting the alumni via LinkedIn to know how the university is, to know how strong the Indian community is, to know how secure the Indian students will feel over there. LinkedIn becomes one of the proven and the best method to be there, and for which you need to have some presence on the social media account. And you can start looking into this part, and then eventually building your LinkedIn profile as well. Okay, now comes letter of recommendation. Now this is an absolutely important piece of document. Do you know what this means? So when you are applying abroad, how do they know that you are a right candidate? How do they know that out of the thousands and thousands of people who have applied to my university, I should select you? One part is, yes, you're submitting your documents, your academic profile, your percentage, but how should I judge your personality and your character? Right? It is important for me to let you in my university to know that you are an absolutely good character. Now, how will they decide this is with the letter of recommendation given to you. Someone has to recommend the university that you are an outstanding candidate. Someone has to recommend to the university that I have seen the student growing, progressing, and it has been exceptionally good. The way they have grown in academics, the way they have grown in their personal life, their empathy, their sympathy, all of these factors matter. And who do you think can recommend? Who has seen this growth in you? Who is the right person to give you this recommendation? Are your teachers, your principals, your vice principals, anyone you have done your internships with, maybe if you're playing certain sport for a long time, if you have a coach who is helping you over there, them, any of your mentors. Any of your mentors are the right people. And for bachelor's degree, as I said, this is your teachers, principals, internship guides, or any other mentor that has been part of your life for a long span of time. So it's important the kind of rapport you share with your teachers. It's important the kind of interactions you have with them. It's important the attentiveness you show in your class, because that is what your teacher is going to write in your letter of recommendation. Right? So it's Understand the importance of this. If something is your goal in long run, there are these small and tiny steps that start right away now. Okay. Next comes your statement of purpose, another very interesting and important piece of document. Now, what does statement of purpose mean? Now, if again I'm a university and I want to let you in a new country, as you know, you're not a citizen of the country, but you're coming here and you're also taking a spot in my university, I should know what is your intention, what is your purpose. I cannot let just that I want to go abroad be a intention to let someone in my university, correct? So the university is an absolutely the committee that decides who can come in. They are very uh, have a very proper goal set up for them. It's not like ki everyone who has 90 plus percentage can be a part of my university. No, the selection process is extremely holistic. Holistic means yes, your academics play a role, your co-curricular plays a role, your letter of recommendations play a role, and your purpose for selecting that university, that country, and that course plays a role. Okay, so how to write it, how to frame it, this is again something that will be come into picture when you actually start applying. But right now, what on what grounds you can start thinking is, again it goes to the goal setting, the step one. Why are you selecting certain thing for your career? Where do you see yourself once you've selected that, once you've done with your education? What is that you want to change in the world? How do you want to contribute to the humanity, to the world, with the field that you have selected? It doesn't always have to be a field which is say being a doctor or being a soldier. These are not the only things where you serve the country or serve the humanity or the earth. Anything, even if you select arts, even if you select theater, even if you select anything in any other manner, there are certain ways in which you contribute to someone's life. You make someone happy, you make someone stress free. In any which ways you can be part of it, but you have to be very clear of your motives. Okay, you have to be very clear of what is and why is that you're entering into that field. And if you know that, if you can connect with that, everything other is a piece of cake. Writing such piece of document is absolutely easy after that, correct? So that is what a statement of purpose is, and it plays a role when your application is being analyzed by the team. Next is your transcript. Transcript is a pretty straightforward document, which means your mark sheets from your 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. So do not lose it. Because I do have students, like when they are applying, I'm like, please give me your 9th mark sheet. Ma'am, I lost it. You can't do that. You have to make sure all these 4 documents are extremely important and they've kept properly with you. Okay? Okay, just a second again. Okay. Okay, and coming to the score report card. Score report card means the examinations that I told you are very important for you, the SATs or the proficiency exams. So those are again a mandatory documents that you need to submit. Now coming to the optional documents, something which is not asked by the university, but if we submit it, of course gives us an advantage. Any extracurricular activity that you have been part of, I told you the process is holistic. The process is not just about what has been your score throughout, it is about what are the other things that you could do. How much do you care about your overall growth, be it sports or be it any kind of physical activity, be it any kind of mental activity, be it your academics, be it showing a participation into any kind of community programs. So all of these extracurricular activities will also make a very good impression, leave a very good impression, especially if you're going for bachelor's. Because bachelor's, you're still very young, correct? You were still in your school when you were applying, you were still in the school phase when you were thinking about this. Therefore, you have a good amount of scope to be a bit more creative with your time. So make sure that is also one of the agendas. Academic achievement certificates, if you have been part of any Olympiads or any kind of state level exams, national level exams, again will play a good role. And portfolio, if you're going for any kind of arts field, okay, any arts field. So for example, you're applying for architecture, you're applying for interior designing, you're applying for any arts college. So what have you been doing before that? Like you need to prove the different kind of, maybe a portfolio that you've created for yourself, any kind of drawings that you have, any kind of sketches that you have, or if you have been part of any dance competitions, your videos and all. So all those things, they do combine to, if we submit that, it shows a true intention. It shows that it's not a random spur of the moment decision that I've taken. I have been preparing for this moment for a long time for now. Correct. And last is your community work experience letter. Now this is something that a lot of times, in India at least, it's not that common for us to do that, because ma'am, I have school, I have tuition classes, then my tuition classes have different exam, my school has different exam, I'm preparing for this in the day, this in the night, I don't have time to eat food even. What do I do? And when do I even participate in all these things? So I understand that your academics is consuming a lot of time, and it's a lot of demanding at this point with the competition rising and all, and that's a completely separate topic to talk about. But even giving 1 hour a week or fortnightly 1 hour, say you have your house help who comes in your house for maybe cooking and cleaning, even if you go ahead and contribute to her children, or if you have any animal shelter around you, you have any orphanage around you, you have any old age home around you, even if you can contribute 1 hour of your time once a week or once in 15 days, this will give you a certification, of course, from that particular organization. That is a good part of it. But as a person, eventually after a month or two, you will see a lot of difference in you. A lot of time, we right now are a lot, we are privileged, correct? You would agree with me that the school that you're studying in, such a brilliant school, such professors, and the facilities that you have been provided by your parents and school, we all are privileged in the society we are staying. And there is a lot of things that we are unaware of how the other half of the world is living, or what are the difficulties faced by the people, and we take a lot of things that have been provided to us for granted. And therefore there is this kind of, I wouldn't say it is arrogance, but it is a negligence that comes into the way we conduct ourselves. Ki, this is normal, this is normal, ye to aise hi hai. But sometimes it's not normal, it's something that you have been given because you're privileged. And once we start doing these kind of outreach programs, when we start contributing just 1 hour of your time and see what the people around are living like, and you contributing for their betterment, it changes your personality to a whole different level. And trust me, just me saying this will maybe not convey the feeling that I'm having at this moment. Just try it for next 3 months. 1 hour of your week, like 4 hours a month, is something bare minimum that I'm asking you to do. Just for the certification you get is I would say a added bonus certification, which will help you in your abroad education. But the personality you will develop out of this will help you in long run as well. Okay, just give it a try. And yes, of course, as I'm saying, it's going to be a beneficial points for your abroad education. And this is about the document prep that we were talking about. So we have covered the 4 important steps. These are the 4 steps which you as a student primarily and majorly becomes your responsibility. And now you need to involve your parents, and you need to ask them questions. You need to reach out to your professors and your teachers to know the answers. Your interest will matter, and these 4 particular things are your major responsibility, and your parents and your teachers will play a supporting role over here. Now the 5th step is specifically for the parents, where parents, this becomes your major responsibility. Okay, so funding and finances have been a question that parents do ask about a lot, that what is the amount that is required, how much do we need to be prepared with, and what are the scholarships available, and do I need to take a loan, self-funding, are there jobs that the children can do, a lot of questions. So we'll not go because this children are also here, and this is a very huge topic to discuss about, but I will give you a reality check of this. So expenses that you need to be ready with, your fees is one of the expenses, which is the major expense required. But along with that, you also need to be ready with the accommodation expenses that will be there, the health care that your child will require when they enter into a new country, a new soil, the books and supplies that they will have there, and the dining as in the food expenses throughout. So the tuition fees being one, and the other 4 we usually name it as living expenses. Now when you are entering into any new country for your education, okay, any country, for example, let's take USA as an example over here. When you get, you apply, you get your offer letter in your hand. Now the next step that you start with is your visa step. Correct? That is another challenge for international students to have a visa approval. Now, to get that visa approval, there are certain documents that the university need to provide you, that you will be requiring for your visa. Now, when the university provides you those documents, every university names it as something different. USA names is at I-20. At that point, you need to prove the university that at least you have the year one funding ready with you, which will consist of the tuition fees and the living expenses. Now, how much does this varies to? Now, I'll give you and very broad understanding. Yes, it will, the amount that you will require will vary to country to country. In European countries, most of the time you need to create a block account, which means, for example, your year one expense comes around to 10 lakhs. So you need to block that money in a government account. So there's a process where you need to block that money in that account, and then the government pays some amount of it to your child every month as living expenses. In other countries like USA, you do not have to block that money, but you have to at least show your bank statements and your savings and FDs that you do have like 15-20 lakhs ready with you. If required, you can take care of everything, and you just have to show the money in your own account for you to get that visa documents from the university, and then you can apply to the consulate for the visa. Okay, so giving you a rough understanding, the tuition fees will somewhere come up to, again it depends to country, it will vary, but 10 lakhs to 20 lakhs can be somewhere per year fees. Okay, again, country to country it can be a little less and a quite more. Okay, so 10 to 20 lakhs is what your fees can be, and your living charges, or your the accommodation, healthcare, and everything, living expenses, they again will be very different from country to country. To give you, and again, USA being a standard example over here, it will be somewhere 10 to 12 lakh per year. Okay, so for if you get an admission in some country whose tuition fees is 15 lakhs and the living expenses is 10 lakhs, so you need to show that the first year you will require 25 lakhs, which is ready with you in your bank account. That is only when you can start with the process of visa. Correct? So this is what you need to have an average understanding about the funding. Now, how do you fund? What are the sources over here? So first is, suppose you have that money ready with you, so it can be a family sponsored education or a personal sponsored, as in this is usually for masters students. When they go, they have completed their bachelor's, they've worked for a certain time, save that money, and then they show it on their self. But for bachelor's, it can be parents sponsoring the child. Second can be education loan. So education loan with masters and with bachelors are very different, because after masters there is this, like, you're going to get a job, therefore you can repay your own loan, and it's just for 2 years. So the system of loan is very different for these two things. Bachelors is 4 years abroad, and plus a lot of students do not opt for a job right after bachelors, they go for a masters, therefore the student repaying the loan. So bank takes into accordance of all these factors, and getting a collateral or a non-collateral loan. Collateral means against the property or any kind of assets that you have. Non-collateral being just on the basic amount that education loan bank can give you without any kind of collaterals that you give. So it does vary. Usually bachelors do not get a non-collateral loan because the span is more, the fees is also something that comes into account here, it becomes higher in this case. Therefore you need to start communicating with the bank right now. If you are going for the loan option, you should know what kind of different banks are available, what kind of interest rate are they giving you, how is the payback system, like how much maximum loan can they give you, if there is there any other amount that you need to have ready with you. So if you start asking these questions right away to the bank, you will have much more time in your hand to prepare this. And trust me, the more time you have in your hand to prepare this, it becomes easier on you also as a parent. And the most popular option over here being the scholarship. So with scholarship, so let me give you an understanding with scholarship is that not every university okay, just a minute, yeah, not every university will give you a 100% scholarship. Majority times with most of the students, if you are looking for university scholarship, it is partial, that also only for your tuition fee. So if your tuition fee is 15 lakhs, the university might give you in some time a 20% scholarship, 30% scholarship, or scholarship is usually not in percentage, it is for fixed amount. Okay, so that is one way of going about it, where you have to bear the rest of the fees plus the living expenses. Correct? The next way of scholarship can be the private scholarships which are present in India. There are a lot of different Tata scholarship, Inlac scholarship, and you can research about it more for abroad education, where they bear your entire expense, your living expenses and also your complete tuition fee. But again, when I say entire expense, it is highly competitive. Like 10 people a year, 4 people a year, or 30 people a year is what they usually award. And with bachelors it becomes even less, because as I'm saying, there are 4 years of education involved. Therefore the scholarship that you will require in such cases is even higher, right? So you need to start looking into it as well right now. And with the other part of the scholarship is that once you enter into the university, they have certain scholarships for the students who are studying. That if you score a GPA, like usually, again taking USA as an example, they have GPA out of 4. If you maintain a GPA of 3 and above, you might get certain scholarship. If you drop down the GPA, your scholarship will be taken away. So such scholarships are given once you take your admission and you prove in 1 or 2 semesters that you're able to keep certain GPA, and then there's the internal scholarship that is given out. Okay, so there are multiple different options that you can look into. Such case, start looking into the scholarships given by the Indian government, because in that case, if they are private, you might have highly competitive, yes, but you might have a larger source of amount that can be get covered in this case. And the other part is on the students. A lot of times students do bear their living expenses. Say after 6 months of being there, they can start a job in a cafe or any local outlets over there, or in the university library, or with the professor. In any which ways, if they after 6 months they try and explore their options out there, that also can be a good way to go about it, and to bear at least the living expenses, which is one of, again, a major chunk of it. Correct? So these are few of the options that I wanted to discuss with you when it comes to funding. So this is it. These are the 5 main points when it comes to the goals that you're setting, the eligibilities that you need to take care of, the time schedule and the roadmap that you need to, that we have checked. It's a 2-year span, 2 years of good preparation, okay, that you need to go about with the documents and of course the funding and finances. So if you take care of these points right from today, right from now, you discuss it with your parents, with your teachers and parents, you start looking into the funding, there's nothing that's stopping you. There's nothing that's going to, be a hurdle in your entire direction, and the journey that you're planning is going to be very smooth. It's just that you need to be ready to do the hard work. And of course, if you choose a area of your passion and your interest, the hard work is something that you will enjoy the process. Okay, thank you so much, guys. And I'm not sure if we can take questions over here, but yeah, if there are, I would like to answer.
Questions? So what are the courses post 10th grade or post 12th grade that they can go?
So see, again, post 12th, if you are, because for bachelor's degree you need to complete 12 years of education as an eligibility, I said. So like we say BSc over here or BTech over here, usually it is B, as there is bachelor's of science outside, and it's a 4 years degree. Now the courses is similar like India. Like what is, again, coming to what stream are you selecting? Like I said, if you have selected computer sciences, again there are multiple different options out there. If you're selecting every single niche that you can think about has a bachelor's degree out there. So the course naming will be a very long process out here. We have to eliminate the options which are not for us, and that is where you will come to a proper option. Instead of thinking what I want, start eliminating what you don't want. Is where you can right now start, is what I'll say.
Any other?
Okay.
A few students have a question regarding careers in finance. Which country would be better for a career in finance?
Okay, see, now again, in finances there are a lot of different things. There is accounting, there is proper BS in finances. There is like we have CA over here, we also have certain certification courses over there. So finance, again, every country has finance. So and I would say USA does has certain major, you have to, when you select a country, you need to select a state over there which has the headquarters of those particular banks and everything. So once you have done your education from there, it becomes easier for you to get placed. It becomes easier for you to do internships in much reputed and dream companies that you have. So every company, every country will have their own finance capital, so you need to go ahead and in that case go ahead and pinpoint that and start your education over there. One thing I would say, it's a little point away from it. When you're selecting a country over here, you need to know your long run process in the abroad education system. Like, are you going there just for the pure high quality of education? Is that your goal? Or is your goal to have a good education but also to settle in the country? Or is your goal to have the highest quality of education and also settle in the country? So these are the three different criteria that I can think about right now. So because USA, it's not easy to have a green card. You will have a good quality of education, but in long run you will not have the PR or you will not have the citizenship very easily. When it comes to Canada, the education is good. Okay, I would say USA is a little better, but Canada also education is good, but it's easier for you to go, in a long run to have a permanent residency and a citizenship in the country. And when it comes to Australia, the education again is very good, and again the PR and the citizenship becomes easier. Okay, Canada I would say is a little cost effective, and Australia and USA becomes a bit more cost. It's a little higher on the tuition fees. And Europe again, it is a little difficult to go on the permanent residency or the citizenship side.
Is it possible to do NEET in India and MBBS and MD in Russia?
Thank you. One question is it possible to give NEET in India and then do the MBBS in Russia? So is that possible?
Okay, so Russia at this point, I don't have an accurate information with me, so we might answer your question in the comments later on. But different countries have different eligibility and entrance requirement when you go in that country, because medicine is such a field where you have to operate on human body, and to do that you need to have a proper examination that need to be given for that country. So Russia at this point, I don't have a proper understanding, so maybe in the comments we can answer. But if I have to tell you again, with US will not accept NEET which we have given in India, because how the system over there is that after 12th you need to do a 4 years of bachelor's, then you need to give an examination known as MCAT, and then you get into a medical college. So the system is different everywhere, so it will be a little different.
Another question that the student have posed is some of the students have studied abroad and they've come to India for their grade 8, 9, 10. Now they want to go back. So how is it going to impact their process? Is it going to be any easier? Are they going to have any kind of advantage in terms of examinations that we just discussed? So how is it going to be?
Okay, so if you have citizenship of that country where you want to continue your education, your visa process, which is a very major process for international student, that gets cancelled for you. You don't require a visa because you directly have a citizenship of the country. When it comes to examinations, there are certain rules that you will have to go through with the the universities, specifically when you're applying. Like, for example, you have born you have you were born in a country, but then you are here taking your entire education in India. Therefore, in this case, you will be considered as a domestic student for visa purposes, but again you will have to clear certain examinations because your education has been done in a completely different setup. Okay, and again, again it might also vary for your fees. Okay, for domestic students the fees is different, for international students the fees is different. You might have an advantage on that because international students, usually the fee is a little on the higher end. But examinations, it will depend upon how much time you have spent in India before going there.
Okay. Another question that we have is, can the student do a judiciary and go for the foreign services abroad? Is that possible?
See, when it comes to law, when it comes to accounting, like the finances and the CA practice, when it comes, or the architecture, if I have to say, it is different for every country. Therefore, your certifications have to happen in that country to practice any kind of such laws and finances or architecture in that particular geography. Okay, so it's going to be different.
insights you would give in art-based careers or humanities? How do the students usually go ahead and select?
Okay, so see, arts and humanities and geography, it too will have a little different career path. So in geography, there are a lot of different things that there is direct plane, your bachelor's in geography, or it will have. There are different kind of specializations that you can take. Again, selecting geography, you need to exactly know. It's not just the subject. You need to know why are you selecting that bachelor's, and what career prospects are you seeing once you're done with your bachelor's. What do you see yourself where are you going to utilize that knowledge and that degree? That becomes one part of it. And in that, then you can have different specializations again as you go ahead. And it's, if you're interested in a subject, the degrees are available in the subject. That is not something that will be a hindrance, but you should know that why are you selecting and what is the career prospect. Depending on that, your degree will vary. When it comes to art and humanities, there are multiple options. There is arts, there's theater, there is psychology. There is, in psychology, go abroad, there are multiple specializations. There's clinical psychology, there's family psychology, family relationship, child psychology, criminal psychology, which you can start right away from your undergraduation, selecting the specializations and going in that direction. So multiple options. It at the end comes to, your research that you will have to put in this entire 6-7 months that you're, having in your hand, and understanding which direction you want to move ahead with.
Okay. Uh, Again, when it comes to medicine, apart from
Mhm.
the exams that we discussed, are there any particular, cutoff scores that they need to focus upon, or any other entrance exams they need to give?
Yes, yes, multiple. See, for medicine, a lot of times students do aim for USA colleges. When it comes, Harvard and different top end colleges that you're let's not consider Harvard. Let's just consider a simple process to get into a medical college, taking USA again, because I have been dealing a lot with the USA, so I'm taking that as an example for you over here. In India, what you do is that you complete your bachelor's, you complete your 12th, you give your NEET exam, and you start with a medical college, which is like for 5 years. Then you again give a NEET PG, and you go for the PG specialization. Correct? This is your time span. When it comes to USA, you need to first do a 4 years bachelor's degree. Okay, and that bachelor's degree has to be science related. It can be in chemistry, or it can be in biological sciences, life sciences, but it has to be science related. Now when you're doing that bachelor's, in those 4 years there are certain subjects known as pre-med subjects. Okay, pre-medical subjects, and it is important for you to select those subjects. So when you're doing your education abroad, you have a little flexibility of selecting what subjects you're going to, there are certain fixed subjects, certain flexibility that you have to select what are you going to study. So you have to include those pre-med subjects as a part of your curriculum. That is one of the eligibilities for you to get into the college. Once you're done with that, those 4 years and those subjects, you need to give an exam known as MCAT, and there is a cutoff for that also. And considering all that is when you enter into a medical college. Okay, now this medical college is again for next 4 years. After that, which you need to give a USMLE to enter into your 2 year specialization. So this process becomes a lengthier process in that ways. And the next disadvantage that a lot of I this is just an example that I had seen. There was a student who had completed dental in India and wanted to do MBBS now abroad. But the thing is, you have completed your dental, which means you've completed your bachelor's, which means there was the absence of pre-med subjects that are required for you to be a part of a medical college in USA. Correct? So that because of which they couldn't go ahead and start doing that. So they again had to do a bachelor's in USA with the pre-med subjects and then do it. So therefore having a clear thought process of what you want will save you a lot of years. And yes, every country will have different process, different examinations, different criteria that you need to be well versed with.
Yes. Again, a lot of students here have a question with regards to how they can, choose, discover their passion, or get to know what is their subject of interest. So, what, according to you, is the role of a career assessment test here? Will it help them, or is there any other better way? What is it?
Okay, see, this is a very broad question, that how do I understand what I like? Now it's about it's as basic as how will I understand which food I like. it's only you who can, only your taste buds can tell what is good for you. If I like some vegetable, it doesn't mean you will like it in the same manner, correct? So your passion and your interest, of course, will depend upon your thought process. But the good thing is that there are a lot of tools available around you to make that process easier for you, because I know it's not as simple as tasting certain thing and knowing, okay, this is better. So the advantage that you have with your school is that they have this amazing psychometric assessment that they are providing you. Now, this psychometric assessment that your school has, if you have given it, make sure you revisit it again and to look at it into depth, because it is covering every single aspect required for you to make the correct and accurate decision. I'll tell you, if I'm not wrong, your assessment has 5 sections. First is assessing your career personality. Now it's not just ki I like physics, so I would go into engineering. No, is my personality suitable for that, is another question which is very important, and we understand this at a very later stage. Like, if I am fluent with English, Marathi, Gujarati, Kannada, and someone tells, Mukta, you know so many language, you're good with communication, become a journalist. Good suggestion, I would say logical suggestion. But and I you know such listening to that and looking at my skills, I complete my bachelor's in mass media, I complete my master's in mass media, and I start with a job. And that is when I realize, you know what, I don't enjoy talking to people. I enjoy being more on my own. I'm a bit of introvert, and I don't want to be in a public setting constantly. It's not that I want to, be an loner, or I don't want to be with in a public setups. It's okay, I can be there, but I can't do that constantly, and that too for my living, where my bread and butter depends on it. I will start getting frustrated after a point. So even though I had the skills, my personality somewhere couldn't match those skills, and which is very okay. It's not like you have to be an extrovert everywhere, or you have to be an introvert everywhere. No, it's about who you are. So it's important for you to know your career personality, correct? A person who is very logical, very practical. Okay, you have in your personality also, there are 4 different areas where, your personality is judged, there is judging, there is sensitive. So if you are a person who is extremely practical, you might not be suitable for clinical psychology, where someone is coming to you for with the depression counseling. You can't be a person suggesting them, or it sometimes will be very difficult for you to connect with them on a very different level and not hamper yourself in that process. So it's very important to judge who you are. And the test that you have been given, the questionnaires that you're answering, is been drafted in a very scientific pattern. Because, as you know, students, you have a question that how do I know what I like? Because you're not able to recognize the difference of what you're liking and not liking with the career. This test is not asking you direct questions. Do you like physics? Yes, no. No, it's giving you setups, it's giving you different kind of scenarios, it's trying to analyze your thought process, your liking, disliking, in a manner, in questions which you understand, which you can relate with. So I would say, go back to that particular test, your personality, your career interest, your career values, and your learning styles, your aptitude. All of these put together is giving an absolute accurate decision and understanding. And it's not pinpointing ki be a surgeon, it's not pinpointing be an architect, it's giving you a range of options to select from, correct? So it's not a binding factor, or it's not ki this has given me this, I don't want to do this. And one thing you need to understand is that at this age, it's difficult for you to segregate between what's your hobby and what's your career passion. Like, I have a lot of students coming, ma'am, I like gaming, I want to become a gamer, I've seen people earning money out of it. It's true, people do earn money out of it, because that is their career passion. Now, you like gaming, you don't like to study, so you think this can become your career. Now tell me, if next, starting tomorrow, your house rent, you buying a house, or you even buying a meal, depends upon how much games you can play. Sounds very fantastic at this point, okay? But you know what, you're doing the gaming because it's making you stress free. But once it your your in general, your responsibilities end up on that particular activity, that becomes a stressful activity for you, and you no more enjoy that activity. So it means that was your hobby, that was making you stress free from the daily routines that you are having, that was not your career passion. And this report that you have with Orchids, this career assessment that you have with Orchids, is trying to understand and analyze your career passion and not your hobby. Okay, so do refer back to it, report, ask your counselors if you have any questions with it. It will give you a very detailed understanding.
will just hand over to Archana ma'am and
Absolutely.
Hello to everybody all here, to all my students, and very, very thankful to Mukta who presented this, who curated the entire session and made sure that this particular aspect of going abroad, nowadays there's a huge fandom for all of this, which each and every student, rather than the student, the parent keeps asking all of us, Madam, how it is, what are we supposed to do, what are the steps that we need to take. So I'm really hoping that today's enriching session must have given you a lot of clarity, a good perspective, and we really expect these sessions to happen more in future, and the association with you as well, Ms. Mukta, so that we can continue this particular thing for quite a few times for our students of grade 9 and 10. Thank you very, very much from the entire CCCP, the Career Comprehensive Counseling Program Department, and the Special Needs, Special Education and the Counseling Department to enlighten all of us, and thank you very much all over again.
Thank you so much, Archana ma'am. It's always a pleasure to come to Orchids and to conduct these sessions. I always see different kind of questions coming from students, attentiveness, the enthusiasm. So it's always a pleasure to be here, and I also look forward to having such sessions more with Orchids.
Thank you very much. Thank you to all the principals and the counselors, and mostly to all the students who have joined in today's session and made this quite fruitful and very, very big on a very large scale. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mukta. We end the session for everybody here. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
वहाँ से हो गया ना, अभी हो जाए स्क्रीन शेयर
Ajo. Cabin. End stream कर दूँ? हाँ?